Now I want to talk about the different conduits in order to connect with archetypes. Most importantly, I think this might get hard for people to read, so let me continue this here. Please know that your mind is not helpful at all. If there's anyone here today who's doubting, can I really have a real experience with a god or a goddess or an angel? Can I see them? Can I hear them? Don't worry, that's the normal nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is negative, doubting, and suspicious. So when you hear thoughts like that, you can just dismiss that. And know that through your mind, you definitely cannot connect with archetypes. However, through emotions, this is the #1 way to connect with archetypes, establish a relationship with them, and obtain power from them. Emotions are far more powerful than intellect. So the easiest way of connecting with an archetype is literally to totally fall in love with them. And this experience is even easier once you remove the mind. When you see their form, either you can look at the form with the picture, and when the archetype makes themselves known to you, then you can feel as if you will have a personal relationship with that archetype. They're always present around you. And this will happen most quickly if you literally fall in love with archetype. And many of you probably have a personal god or goddess or angel that you're in love with. So you know what that experience is. And this is the very simple route. Dr. Pillai has said that this route is far more powerful than doing extensive meditation or anything of that kind, is to have a totally emotional relationship with the archetype. Now there's some specific conduits in order to call the archetype. The first is quantum sound frequencies. These are otherwise known as mantras. This is the most powerful way to connect with an archetype and to receive a quantum sound frequency by an authoritative figure, like a spiritual master, is definitely the #1 way to call an archetype to you. I told some of you the story of how I met Dr. Pillai and how he totally transformed my life. When I had one private meeting with him at the very beginning, and he gave me only one sound, I left that room. I went home that night. When I woke up the next morning, I went into meditation for the first time in my life. I had never meditated before. And during that meditation, as I shared with some of you, literally a divine presence came down around me. A vast pink light was embracing me, rocking me back and forth. It was absolutely as real as anything that I've experienced in my life. And the presence of love, an overwhelming, overpowering, total unconditional love, was washing over me, and it was removing all the heart sorrow and suffering I'd experienced in life. So I had a very profound healing that day. Since that day, when that archetype came to me, who was related to the mantra that Dr. Pillai gave, that being has been with me for the past 18 years, always guiding me. I feel his presence around me all the time, showing me the way, helping me to avoid things that wouldn't be optimal for me, constantly blessing me in every way. So this all happens simply because Dr. Pillai conveyed one sound. And it only took a few minutes. So the sound frequency of the archetype literally calls the archetype to you. The archetype is always present, vibrating around you. But when you use the quantum sound frequency of the archetype, they will come to you in a very powerful and personal way. Now you can also use ritual. And more importantly, if you use ritual with a yantra, or you can use mala beads, this will make the ritual even more important. Many of you have our yantras. Yantras is it's a copper plate plated with gold that has the visual diagram of the god or goddess on the copper plate. And in order to empower that copper plate every day, if you do a brief ritual of simply showing a light to the copper plate, rinse it with water, show incense, and give maybe just one raisin or a little piece of food, then you are establishing a very powerful connection with the archetype whose energy is locked into that plate. Similarly, we have mala beads that hold the energy of the divine being inside the necklace. Many of you have our Shiva Shakti mala that has Rudraksha for Lord Shiva and crystal for the goddess. Today we have, I believe, probably for the first time, Tulsi malas. And Tulsi malas, when you hold the Tulsi bead, then the energy of Vishnu becomes very, very present in your life, and you can access him directly by saying your mantra while holding the Tulsi bead and counting the mantra with the Tulsi bead. So these are very simple technologies and tools that you can use in order to have a very personal connection with these archetypes. You can also use pictures. And as I was mentioning, this is very important because the form of the archetype, which has been given by the mythologies, this form actually conveys the power of the archetype. So there's a one-to-one correlation why certain gods or goddesses, their body may be a certain color, they wear certain ornaments, they carry weapons in their hands, or maybe they carry blessing items in their hands, whether they're sitting or standing. All these things about the form of the archetype actually convey the power and the qualities, the characteristics of the archetype to you. So when you look at their form, it's a very powerful way in order to connect with the archetype.